What's up, guys? This is Om3gaPro, and this is another episode of the Derp Circle. Toasty is absent for this one. Who knows where he is? Who cares? But anyway, we're going to be talking about the Walking Dead episode that we just watched. Who knows when this will go up? But anyway, the Walking Dead episode. We didn't do one last week because that week was sort of uneventful, aside from the whole Ermagerd. There's a tournament. Oh, by the way, you want to say something, Darren? Let them know you're here.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, this is going to be about Hounded, which was the latest episode. Lots of shit happened, like Omega said, not really much happened last week, so we didn't really give a dump, but, this one we actually had our own theories going on and shit, and we were both intense into this one.
All right, so I think we should start this one off with our theories that were just false. I want to say mine first because mine was genius.
Yeah, yours was the best.
So. All right, so basically what happened was in the beginning of the episode, Rick is on the phone, obviously, and then there's a girl talking, and then I immediately made a distinction between that and the Walking Dead video game by Telltale, and basically Clementine is the girl on the phone with Rick in the show, and then in the game, Rick is the one on the walkie with Clementine, and I thought that would have been a cool way to just sort of tie things in together. But then, of course, later on in the video or in the episode, we found out that it is just Rick going cray, which we will talk about again more towards the middle or end of this episode. And do you want to say what your theory was? I think we talked about it on the last one, but just want to go ahead.
Well, my theory was that it was going to be Morgan on the phone. And, I had known that, this happened in the comic books, so there was kind of going to be an end-all, be-all, and we could have just looked it up to see what was going to happen. But we just are the gamers and the TV show watchers. But anyway, I had thought that it was going to be Morgan on the phone because Morgan is the guy from Season 1 who had the kid, the very first episode of the show, I think.
Yeah.
And I had thought it was going to be that because, Morgan lost his wife, like how Rick did, so I thought this was going to be good timing. And, we all remember that pretty much any time that they got to a new place, Rick would get on his walkie-talkie and contact Morgan and let him know where they're at, and all that stuff. And I had thought that maybe between the season 2 and 3 gap, that Rick somehow had his walkie-talkie, like maybe he kept it on his belt the whole time or some shit, and he was able to talk to Morgan and be like, yeah, we're at this prison or whatever. And I had thought that maybe the chick that was talking to Rick was going to be like someone else that was in his group, like Rick and Dwayne found a group or whatever, but I guess I was wrong, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that you actually went into detail, that just doesn't seem possible. But
I don't know.
Who knows? I think that maybe Morgan will have a part in a future episode because they didn't show him die or anything, if I recall correctly.
Nah.
Right? So yeah, here's the rule. This rule that I sort of made up for pretty much almost anything ever. If it didn't show them dead, they're probably not dead. That's just what you can say. For example, we didn't see Carol for 2 episodes, and then Daryl finds Carol. So,
which that one I called. I want to go ahead and say right when Daryl was stabbing the ground or whatever, and then at first I was like, oh shit, and then I saw the door budge and I was like, no, that's Carol. Hey, shut up, I called it.
I bet you did. But anyway, this episode, it wasn't necessarily eventful like how the one where Lori died was eventful. However, this one was a very good episode, and we learned a lot of things. And in the next episode, I think, is where shit is definitely hitting the fan. It's going to be the climax of this season, I think. And it's just a lot of crazy stuff happened. So in tradition of how we did this last time, we'll try to start from the beginning, but if we jump around, forgive us. But basically in the beginning, Merle and his crew go out hunting for Michonne, and then Michonne just starts slashing people up, and then Merle kills that other guy with that weird fucking name. And yeah, basically what happens, I think this might be the first thing that happened. What's his face? Merle ran into Glenn and Maggie. Is that the first thing that happened, or was there something else?
Well, he actually was in the woods at the very beginning of the episode and found Michonne in the woods, and then she killed those guys or whatever, and then they found Glenn and Maggie.
All right, so basically Merle finds Glenn and Maggie. Merle's alone at this point. Oh, I think before that though, didn't he see Andrea? Oh no. I'm getting confused. My bad. Anyway, what happens is Merle finds Maggie and Glenn at the store where they were, looting for formula and medicine and just general stuff. And Michonne is watching them the whole time, just being a creeper. But Merle finds them, and then shit hits the fan, and Merle is like, "Hey, take me with you. Let's go to the camp. I want to see my brother." And blah blah blah. Is he still alive? And then Glenn's like, "You're gonna stay your bitch ass right there, and we're gonna be back. And then you know, if Daryl wants to see you, he'll come see you." Basically, on some thug stuff. But then Merle pulls out a gun, takes a shot, misses, of course, hits the back windshield, I guess is what it's called. And then he holds Maggie hostage, and now he's forcing Glenn to drive back to their, what is that place called?
The prison.
No, not the prison.
Oh, wait, no, Woodbury. Oh, yeah. Shit, I don't know what I was thinking.
What he forces them to drive back to the safe haven of Woodbury, where they will probably continue to be tortured, and or not tortured, but just sort of just, hey, tell me information. Oh, you won't? Okay, come back.
Interrogated.
Yeah, sure. And then I'm losing my train of thought. Can you just take over for me?
All right. Well, kind of like what you were saying, how this being the climax of it and shit. Like you were saying, okay, they get back to Woodbury, and he tells the governor, who is now, fucking Andrea, he tries to deliver the news and all that stuff, and he's masking the whole thing that he didn't kill Michonne. He's kind of assuming that she died, though, Merle is, but he's telling the governor that he killed her, and that she killed all of his squad mates, which she did kill all of them except for that one guy with the weird name, that Merle killed him.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, that was sort of it for that point for a little bit. And then it goes back to the prison where, it turns out that the phone call was just Rick's imagination and all that stuff. And Daryl is going a little bit crazy at this point. He's really upset that he can't find Carol because he found her knife earlier on in the episode. And then all of a sudden, this little door that had been budging throughout the whole episode, turns out that it was Carol behind that. And we really didn't see any more about that situation. And then this was kind of the denouement of the episode where, like, everything was kind of resolving itself there for a second. Like I said, Daryl found Carol, all this shit. And Rick was kind of starting to gain his sanity again as he held his baby for, I think, the first time. And then right as things are looking a little normal, like, he notices Michonne is at the prison.
Yeah. I just want to state that I don't like the way Rick got over his insanity.
Right.
A fake phone call with your wife. Come on. That's like some Lost shit. Cause wasn't Lost like this big, oh, whoops, never happened. I don't know. It just seems like some cop out method that they just couldn't really think of what to do.
Well, I was gonna say, if they're gonna go full on Lost, then I think it's gonna turn out that, like, the whole series is just Rick in a coma, freaking out, having dreams.
Yeah. I just meant that, like, that one little specific thing, but it's just they had so much potential there to make, like, a crazy thing happen and make Rick snap back, like maybe somebody died and it was Rick's fault because he's insane and just is not himself. They could have done a lot of things. However, the way they handled it, I'm not saying it's a bad way, but with all the potential they had, I think they could have done something a little bit better. And it just seems like Rick got over it pretty quickly. Like he's just like, oh, so I'm going crazy. Okay, hangs up, holds his baby, sees Michonne, and I'm like, something about that tells me that Rick is still going to be battling it a little bit, but I think that they basically did that to say, okay, that's a thing of the past. Don't worry about it no more. It's just one of those things in TV shows where it's like, okay, that just happened. Just forget about it. Just like how I was watching it downstairs with some family. My sister's boyfriend said, oh, how come, they never have, like, big, huge beards. They don't show any razors anywhere or anything like that. It's just like one of those things you have to just shut up and accept it to move on with the story and all that stuff. But I don't know. I still feel like the way The Walking Dead is, how they pay so much attention to detail and how there's so many twists and stuff like that. They could have done something a little bit better, but what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think that it kind of like they could have shown the big difference between season 3 Rick and seasons 1 and 2 Rick, because like seasons 1 and 2 Rick, this seems like something he would have done, like he would have had kind of the easier way out of insanity. This Rick though is a lot more hardened, and I had thought that he would just have to, beat himself up about this enough, like maybe go through something like you said, like someone dies and it's his fault and he's got to face the consequences or whatever. He's like, this Rick fucks up a little bit, and that's good. It's human and all that stuff. And I think that they really could have done something like that. Like I said, where, I don't know, he just really has to man up and say, you know what, if I don't snap out of it, then everybody is going to die or something like that, because he is their leader right now.
Yeah.
Especially since Daryl was a little bit out of it, he didn't show it until the very end of the episode, but he was upset about Carol, all that stuff. And we all know Glenn isn't, leadership material.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, we've talked about this before, back and forth. If Rick were to not be the leader, I don't think Herschel would be fit, but if anyone, it could be Herschel, but he can't really move around or do anything. But if not Herschel, then I think we both agreed upon Maggie. That would have to lead the group, because who else? I mean, but then again, Daryl is in a positive mental state right now. Like, he just found Carol, so maybe he could be a leader of some sorts.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you had a theory, something about Andrea.
I was just gonna predict that what's gonna happen is, obviously Maggie and Glenn are holed up somewhere in Woodbury, I would guess. Merle has got them somewhere. He didn't just like leave them outside and be like, okay, I'll be back in a minute, because otherwise Glenn would have, of course, ditched,
Yeah.
But they've got to be holed up somewhere in Woodbury to where they can't really leave. And I'm thinking maybe... I'm thinking that Andrea is going to, like, walk around somewhere, somehow or another. She's going to find out that they're holed up there, and that's going to be a big thing for her, because she's right now at the pinnacle of trusting the governor and getting comfortable in Woodbury. And then she's going to find, two of her old friends being held hostage, or maybe even beaten, tortured, tormented, interrogated, whatever, in this town that she had, like, just come to fully accept. And I think that that'd be a big deal. And then she's going to be upset at Merle and all that stuff. And then there's going to be a big thing, because, like you were saying, how this is the climax of the season, what they're doing with this season is that they're splitting it up into 2 parts. I think that it's going to be 8 episodes, and then they're going to stop for like a month or 2 and do the other 8 episodes at the beginning of next year. And we've only got 2 more episodes until that split. So they're obviously going to leave us with some big event at the end of the 8th one. So I think it would be something, this is really going to start building up to it.
What do you think is going to be that cliffhanger, though?
Well, I'm thinking by then, literally everyone is going to be in the same place. And I mean literally everyone. Andrea, Merle, Glenn, Maggie.
Are you talking about just the main people, or like everyone that was in Woodbury too?
Well, no, not like everyone in Woodbury. I mean like all the main people. I'm talking, like all the original Atlanta survivors. Well, the ones that are still alive, of course. And, Glenn and Maggie and the governor possibly being at the prison, or maybe, I guess that would be way more likely, especially since Michonne is at the prison, instead of all of the prison people going to Woodbury. I don't think that's very likely, but, I'm thinking all that, and then there's going to be a conflict between Michonne and Merle alone, let alone, Merle and Daryl, and just everyone versus Merle, Merle versus everyone, governor, maybe, I don't know if he would go or not, because especially if, like, Andrea has to... go, I guess, sneak out, because he's obviously not going to be like, oh, yeah, you can just leave, and go to the prison and all that shit. So I think that would probably be a conflict in its own, the governor being against Merle and Andrea and whoever leaving, but I don't know.
Yeah, I in the thing that was like the next episode on Walking Dead, or next time on Walking Dead, whatever, it showed, what am I thinking of? Oh yeah, it showed Merle and the governor talking, and the governor was like, well, they was talking about something that she might, or they might tell them where we are. So I'm thinking that Maggie and Glenn somehow escape, because in that thing they're like, oh, they're not here anymore or some shit. They might tell the others where we are, something like that. And I think that that's gonna make Woodbury go on the offensive. So like, you know, like you said, the governor and Merle and just, you know, main people are going to go out to the prison, because something tells me they're gonna find out about the prison just somehow. No, Andrea does not know.
Well, I was about to say, for all we know, Andrea, like I was saying, could find, you know, Maggie and Glenn.
Oh, yeah, and then they talk about that.
Yeah, and then they could be like, yeah, this place is fucked up, and then Andrea realizes it, and she goes with them back to the prison.
That could be a possibility, but another thing, though, I think, is that Andrea has this syndrome of stupid girl, and she might be like, oh, the governor possibly can be bad, even though she sees evidence right there. She's probably, I think she just comes across as the type that'll be like, oh, maybe I should just give him one more chance or some shit like that. And then she goes, and then she's like, oh yeah, they're at this prison or whatever. And then Glenn, Maggie escape somehow, or maybe Andrea realizes the governor's gonna be like, okay, then we got to go to the prison and kill them. And then Andrea's like, oh no, wait, don't do that. And then she frees the other people, and then they escape. And maybe something like that happens. I don't know. It's just, they have to find out about the prison somehow, because like you said, I don't think the prison folk are going to be going over to Woodbury. I think it's got to be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But they of course have to find out, you know, about the prison. And I don't know how they can find out about it, though, is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's how I think it's all going to go down, though. I think, like I said, you know, prison people are gonna find out about Woodbury and all that shit. And I've actually been defending Andrea a lot here lately, because a lot of people are like when she didn't go with Michonne, everyone started like hating her immediately. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's easy for us to say that we would go with Michonne because we saw everything about the governor, you know, through the TV perspective and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you think about it through her eyes, she's only seen, you know, the good sides of Woodbury until maybe the fights last episode.
Yeah, but then again, that is also a good side, because she stated that she liked it.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, she hasn't seen too much of the crazy side that Michonne has seen and all that stuff. So, but I think if she finds Glenn and Maggie hold up and still isn't like positive that this place is fucked up, then yeah, I'm gonna start hating Andrea like everyone else.
Well, I agree with you on the fact that, you know, Andrea is probably the only one there that's acting like a person right now, because any other person would have been like, fuck that, I'm not leaving here. Are you serious? There's no chance of zombies getting in. I mean, there's always a chance, but I mean, it's limited as opposed to just walking out there.
Well, yeah.
But I do agree that Andrea, you know, she had her reasons, and I agree with those reasons, and I would have acted the same way. However, what made me just be like, oh, Andrea, you stupid whore, was when she jumped the fence and then killed that walker. I was just like, I don't know, just something about me. I was just like, why would you do that? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just one walker. You don't want to piss them off, you know?
Yeah, and not only that, you think about all the different things that could have happened. Maybe there was more walkers coming, then she's over the fucking barrier right now. How the fuck she's gonna get back in? She's gonna have to walk all the way around and shit. It's just like, there's so many things that could have happened, and you could have been fucked, but no, you want to do it for the thrill of the kill or some shit.
I kind of thought that they did that really quick just to, you know, for one, remind us you're not supposed to leave Woodbury, and for two, to show that, I don't know, she's not too against the whole idea. She sees the barriers as not that important, you know, she can just do whatever and all that stuff.
Also, I think they showed that to show the viewer her sort of itch to like kill those things.
Yeah.
And like, yeah,
that's actually a good point. That would explain why she, you know, liked the fights and everything.
Yeah, she's like some sort of action whore or something. She just gets off on that or whatever.
Shit, I didn't even think about it like that, really.
All right, so is there anything else we should cover, or?
No, not too much that I can think of. I think we've covered our theories, true, false, and maybes.
All right, so I think that's all we've got. So be sure to leave your comments and stuff like that down below if you care at all. But yeah, that was it. I'm out. Bye.
No.
Okay.